Do you ever feel like jumping off the bridge? Or steering into oncoming traffic? Or doing anything destructive that doesn't benefit you in any way? Don't worry, you're not alone. This phenomenon is very common. L'appel du vide, or the call of the void, is a phenomenon that many people have experienced but few can explain. It refers to the sudden and unexplainable urge to do something dangerous or self-destructive, such as jumping off a cliff or swerving into oncoming traffic. While this phenomenon is not well understood, it is a fascinating and thought-provoking aspect of human psychology that has captivated researchers and writers alike. At its core, l'appel du vide is a manifestation of the darker aspects of the human psyche. It is the sudden and unexpected impulse to do something that goes against our own self-preservation instincts, and it can be both exhilarating and terrifying. Many people who experience the call of the void describe it as a feeling of being pulled towards danger, as if some unseen force is urging them to take a risk and defy the laws of nature. While it is not clear what causes it, there are several theories that have been proposed. Some researchers suggest that it is a form of self-destructive behavior, driven by feelings of depression, anxiety, or other mental health issues. Others argue that our tendency to experience irrational, self-destructive urges is an innate instinct that has been ingrained in our brains over millions of years of evolution. This instinct serves to remind us that life is precious and that we should avoid potentially dangerous situations, such as standing on the edge of a tall building. But what if this kind of urge keeps constantly persisting in your head, even if you have no real interest in executing it? Well, don't panic. That is also perfectly normal. When you get this kind of irrational urge to do something highly self-destructive, your first response may be anxiety and immediate suppression of that thought. However, this can actually make it worse, because when you suppress a thought, it can occur more often in your mind and can lead to a spiral of negative thoughts and make you seriously question your sanity. This can be explained by another phenomenon, the white bear paradox. Also known as the ironic process theory, is a psychological phenomenon where attempting to suppress a thought actually makes it more persistent and intrusive. The term was coined by psychologist Daniel Wagner in 1987, who used the example of white bear to illustrate the concept. In his research, Wagner found that when participants were instructed to not think about white bear, they actually ended up thinking about it more frequently. This paradoxical effect occurs because trying to suppress a thought requires cognitive effort and control. But this very effort to control the thought can lead to a rebound effect where the thought becomes more persistent and intrusive. The white bear paradox has been studied extensively in the field of psychology, and researchers have found that it can have negative effects on mental health and well-being. For example, in cases of anxiety disorders, individuals may try to suppress anxious thoughts, only to find that their efforts to control the thoughts actually make them more anxious. This can lead to a vicious cycle where the individual becomes increasingly anxious and distressed. To overcome these kind of intrusive thoughts, researchers have suggested strategies such as distraction, acceptance, and mindfulness. These techniques aim to redirect attention away from the intrusive thought and focus on the present moment, rather than trying to control or suppress the thought. One of the most interesting aspects of l'appel du vide is the way that it challenges our understanding of free will and conscious thought. If we are capable of experiencing such strong and irrational impulses, are we truly in control of our own actions? Or are we simply at the mercy of our own subconscious desires and instincts? This is a question that has puzzled philosophers and scientists for centuries, and it remains an open and complex issue to this day. If you're interested in the topic of free will, we have created a video about it, and we invite you to check it out. While some argue that l'appel du vide is simply a random and inexplicable phenomenon, others suggest that it is an important part of the human experience, and one that we should seek to understand and embrace. Regardless of its cause, it is a fascinating and complex phenomenon that has captured the imagination of writers and artists for centuries. Many famous works of literature and art have explored this theme, one example being Edgar Allan Poe's story, The Imp of the Perverse. Edgar Allan Poe is widely regarded as one of the greatest American writers of all time, and his works have inspired countless readers and writers over the years. One of his most haunting stories is The Imp of the Perverse, which explores the concept of self-destruction and the dark forces that can drive us to do things that we know are wrong. The story is narrated by a man who reflects on the innate perversity present in all humans. He goes on to reveal that he committed a murder by poisoning the victim with a candle, in order to inherit the victim's estate. He then informs the reader that he remained undetected for several years and had grown confident in his invisibility. However, he is consumed by an irresistible urge to commit perverse acts, purely because he knows they are wrong. This compulsion eventually leads him to publicly confess his guilt, not as an act of remorse, but as an act of self-sabotage. The concept of the imp of the perverse is one that is both fascinating and terrifying. It suggests that there is a part of us that is drawn to distraction, even when we know that it is not in our best interests. This idea is particularly relevant in today's world, where many people struggle with addiction, self-harm, and other forms of self-destructive behavior. The narrator of the story describes how the imp would taunt him with thoughts of doing things that were wrong or dangerous, and how he would often resist these urges. However, the imp continued to grow stronger until eventually he was unable to resist it any longer. This is a powerful example of how difficult it can be to resist our own self-destructive impulses, even when we know that they are leading us down a dangerous path. Throughout the story, Poe uses vivid imagery and descriptive language to create a sense of foreboding and unease. The reader is drawn into the mind of the narrator and forced to confront the idea that there may be a similar imp lurking within their own psyche. This is a testament to Poe's skill as a writer and his ability to create characters and situations that are both compelling and terrifying. One of the most interesting aspects of the imp of the perverse is the way that it explores the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind. The narrator describes how he was aware of the imp and its destructive urges, but was unable to resist its influence. This suggests that there is a part of us that operates below the level of consciousness, driving us towards self-destruction even when we are not fully aware of it. The story also has important implications for our understanding of addiction and other forms of self-destructive behavior. Many people who struggle with addiction describe a similar feeling of being driven towards destructive behaviors, even when they know that it is not in their best interest. The imp of the perverse can be seen as a metaphor for this powerful force, which seems to take control of our lives and lead us down a dangerous path. So, do you ever get these intrusive thoughts? Are you being haunted by your own imp? Do you believe that it is all caused by some random faulty wiring in our brains? Or do you think there may be something more fundamental to human nature that we don't yet understand, or may never understand? Be free to share thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.